Good evening, and welcome to another week of In the Spotlight with Tabitha Collins. I am Tabitha Collins. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in again for another week of In the Spotlight. And today's guest, I should say, is Miss Kristin Clark. Miss Kristen is out of the great state of Texas. We know everything's bigger in Texas. And I have so many friends and family out there in Texas, and I really do love the Dallas area. She is the CEO and founder of College Planning Untangled. Think about that for a minute. College Planning Untangled. And I know a lot of us have teenagers that are about to make that critical decision in the next few years. And I want to know what to do right, because when I originally went to college in the 90s, I did everything wrong. And I had no one to lead, guide, and direct me into, you know, how to maneuver through this process as a young adult. So Kristen is here to unpack all of that for us. And we are going to like and share this broadcast with everyone we know that has teenagers in the next 2 to 3 years, or just planning, that are going to college, and these are successful strategies that they can take with them. Kristen, welcome so much to In the Spotlight this evening.
Thank you, Tabitha. I'm excited. This is always fun for me to talk about college, and you are going to hear a lot about natural talents and strengths, so just get ready.
I'm ready for it all. So just give us a little background in the beginning here on how this all came about and how your business was founded.
Absolutely. So, when I think about planning for college, number one, anybody that went to college when we did, which was back in the 80s, some of you probably the early 90s, realized that things were a lot different back then, right? We could go to school, kick the tires for a little bit, because I think when I think back, Tabitha, I looked at a bill just recently and I think I paid like $1,700 a semester. It was something crazy low, right?
Right.
So, if we took a little bit of extra time to get through college, it wasn't a lot of skin off our back. But these days, with the cost of college, you just have to be more careful. And, with the pandemic, all the stuff that these kids have been through, they're a little bit more fragile than we were at this age. So anxiety is running pretty high. So it's even more important for us to really just look at this planning process and make it as simple as possible for everybody, which is a huge something I'm striving for, is just to make this college planning process simple. And I know, I remember when I was sitting on the baseball field watching my first kiddo that was getting ready to go off to college, and a mom looked over at me and she said, "Hey, Kristen, have you signed Chris up for his SATs?" And I was like, "No, I didn't." And now all of a sudden the swirl started. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar? Because you've got one that's getting ready to go to college, right?
Well, I have about 3 more years, but she's ready to go tomorrow in her mind.
I understand. Yeah. But I remember that feeling of, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know where the first place to even start. And it was about a year later that I lost my job, and I was running marketing departments in the home security space, and had gotten into a situation where I love working. And for the 5 years that I was in my VP positions, I just was miserable. I didn't know why. I was like, I hate what I'm doing. I got so tired and worn out that I was actually going to the doctors going, "There's something wrong with me." And they're like, "Kristen, there's nothing wrong with you." And I was like, man, something's not right. And I went and talked to this lady that was a Gallup certified strengths coach. She had just gotten certified, and she had me take this assessment. And when she did, I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I've been miserable for the last 5 years. And what had happened is the Clifton Strengths Assessment helps you understand your natural talents. And when you're using these natural talents, they actually energize you and make you happy. Okay. What I figured out is, for the last 5 years, I hadn't been using my talents. I was actually trying to work within my weaknesses.
Wow.
So it was like running uphill every day or running through the mud every day. And when I figured that out and figured out that, if I was working within my strengths, which I was for a long time in my career, and that's when I really loved my work, that I needed to really understand this better, and became certified myself within 5 months. And when I went through that process, I looked back and I was like, when could I really help people with this knowledge? And I just kept going back further and further. And then I got to this college age kid, the high schooler getting ready to go to college. I'm like, man, if I could help them understand themselves better, this is the place that we need to start. So that's really kind of why I started this business. I was watching my kiddos get ready for college, and I realized that I really wanted to affect this age group and help them know who they are as a person so that they could have a happy career and a happy life and go off to college and enjoy everything that college had to offer.
Exactly. Tell us about your college planning timeline. Like, what does that look like for you, that college age student that just graduated from high school? They took their SATs. They're applying. Do you start with the applying process for them? Like now, when do you come in? I should say, when do you first? Let me rewind myself. I'm getting ahead of myself. When do you come into play with the college planning timeline?
Yeah. So first, I'll tell you, my timeline starts when you're a junior. Now,
Okay.
there are a lot of other college consultants out there, I will tell you, that want you to start thinking about this much earlier. In
Okay.
my opinion, let freshmen be freshmen. They're just trying to figure out high school. Let
Right.
sophomores settle into the fact that, they're in high school and they're ahead of the freshmen because they know a little bit more. And it's really when they're juniors that they start seeing this imminent thing happening, right? That college is at the forefront. It's going to happen soon. And I really feel like for my work, that's when this gets really important. But let me tell you about the timeline first. The timeline, I have simplified this down to, gosh, there are about 9 or 10 things that you need to do each year. Okay. And if you follow this timeline, you'll now have the roadmap to figure out how to tackle planning for college. So you can download this timeline if you text timeline to 71441. So
Okay.
anybody can do that at any time. Just text that. You will have to put your email information in. And then you're also going to get college planning tips from me about once a week.
Say that
So
one more time for them, Kristen. That
sure,
text number.
sure. It's text the word timeline to 71441. Yeah. And you did ask me the question, Tabitha, about, when do I fall into this? When should they talk to me? And, here's the thing that I found when my boys were going into college and going through this college planning process. I realized that all of our high school counselors, all of our college consultants, they do a really great job of helping our kids figure out how to get into school. So how to work through this timeline. And what I found that was missing, and it was a critical step, is that nobody's helping kids figure out what they should be doing in college. Why are they going? What's the purpose of them going? So nobody's talking to them about thinking about a career path and what the goal is. What is the end goal of going to college? And in my mind, that's to ultimately have a career. There's a lot of other things within college that we definitely want them to do, like the adulting steps and, having a good time, learning how to, do their own laundry, all those good things. And by the way, I'm a huge proponent of them having a ball in college and just really enjoying it. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, we're trying to educate them so that they can come out, and be marketable into a career, right?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. So when I was thinking through this, I was like, well, why do we not do that? Why is there this gap where people aren't helping these kids truly understand, what they want to be at the end of the day? And that's where I come in. And I look at it and I tell people, I'm like, college planning really starts here. It starts with figuring out what career path that you're wanting to explore. Because once you've figured that out, figuring out a major is really easy, right? I'm working with a girl right now, and she's really interested in getting into some type of medical career. And now it's really simple for her to go, okay, based on that, I need to get into biology. I need to get into something that's helping me with the human body, into the sciences. So it's really easy to narrow down a college major. And we've got 2/3 of our students that tell us that that's the most overwhelming part of planning for college, is figuring out a major.
Right. What happened? Do you tell kids that think that they're also ready for college, that they might, after you've assessed them, that they might just be ready for technical school? Because I don't think college is for everyone. And I think that that's something that, society's like, if you're in a certain zip code or a certain area, or you have a certain income and you're middle to upper class, everyone assumes that their kids need, college is the answer to make it out here. And there's plenty of people that have gone to technical schools, or people that haven't gone to college at all, that have also been successful. So do you do some type of assessment with these young adults, or young teenagers, I should say, to help them figure out if college is even for them? Because I know that you're a college success planning type of a coach, but do you keep it real?
Absolutely. And I'm 100% with you that not everybody's path includes college. And in
Right.
fact, only 39% of America has a college degree.
Wow.
So and that's been really consistent over the years. So no, not everybody's path includes college. And it's interesting because, in some of these communities, you definitely do find that, parents have this baby, they're 5 pounds 2 ounces and they're going to college. So
Yeah.
they're talking about that and talking like that with their kids for 18 years. So it's interesting when you have that dynamic going on, that some of the kids, they're like, you know what, I got to check that box because we've been talking about it for 18 years. And they're not having these discussions about, what do I truly want to do? And there are kids that are looking at this and going, I don't really want to go to college, but I think I'm supposed to because we've been talking about it for 18 years. Right. So it brings up the reason why it's so important to have these conversations with your kids prior to them going, because, as they talk through it, I do find out from some of the kids that they're like, it's not something I really want to do, but I'm kind of feeling like I have to. But when
Right.
we start looking at different career paths that they're interested in, if college isn't the most logical step, parents are actually very open to that. And I've been pleasantly surprised as I've been doing this work that, at the end of the day, most parents tell me, they're like, Kristen, I just want them to be happy, you
Right.
know? So they've had this thought in their mind as well, that that was the next step. But when facts are put in front of them, they're like, you know what, maybe it's not. And that's okay.
Right. And I feel the exact same way. I feel like, if college is not in your heart, if you feel like you want to work and take a year off, and then you want to go, I'm all about, not wasting the money, because I know I went to school and I wasted a lot of money, money that I'm still paying back. So I just want them to be real with themselves, be honest. And if it's not for you, that's cool. Let's find a job. Let's find a trade. Take a year off. Think about if you should go. Do we do 2 years of junior college, which people do not push? But I know here in Charlotte, they have some amazing programs at the community colleges where you can get a 2-year degree and get all your gen eds done for free through high school programs, and then go off, and you've saved so much money. We are going to actually take a commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about you have 7 little words, and we're going to talk a little bit about the cost for college education, savings, and we have a theme this year called I'm Trying. The TV station as a whole, WYTV7, we're a nonprofit, and we live and have our being by donations. And our theme this year is I'm Trying. And I want to ask you that question, pose that question to you when we come back from the commercial. What are you trying to do in this season? We are always continuing to educate, empower, and encourage our viewers and our listeners. So we will be right back after this commercial, and Ms. Clark will answer the rest of your burning college questions. Thank you, and we'll return in a moment.
I'm Dr. Raquel Tolson, host of Blessed. Mindset matters. Is your mind on your money? Are you ready to be more intentional with your money? Then get my free booklet, Mind on My Money: Plan, Pocket, Protect. In this booklet, I offer you practical suggestions on planning intentionally, pocketing wisely, and protecting your money. Get the booklet at www.raykeltolson.com. That's RaykelTolson. Get your free copy today.
Thank you so much, and welcome back to In the Spotlight. This evening, I have with us the lovely Kristen from the great state of Texas. She is a college success coach here, and she is going to go back into our discussion on preparing our children for college. And she has a technique in her company where she talks about college and using seven little words. And we're going to ask her this evening to share with us what they are and what does that mean? Seven little words for parents.
Yeah. So Tabitha, this is a fun one because as parents, for the last 18 years, we have been helping these kids, answering all their questions, trying to solve all their problems. And sometimes we really try too hard. We help them too much. And we're getting to a time now when they're getting ready to go off to college. Yeah. And it's time for us to take a little bit of a step back and now be a consultant, not to figure out all their problems and solve them for them. And guess what? Our kiddos don't want us to do that either. Okay. So this is a parent issue. And one of the things that I talk to my clients' parents about when I'm working with them is when your son or daughter comes to you and they want to talk about career path or college, instead of answering their question or telling them what you think they should do, you use seven little words. Okay. So, and you have to practice this because I know it's hard for all of us. And those seven little words are, "That's really interesting. Tell me more." Now, you don't have to use my words. You can figure out your own words, but you can use mine for a little while until you get used to this. But it's all about getting these kiddos talking and just elaborating on what their thoughts are. So if they come to you and they ask questions or they have some ideas around career path, just say those seven little words. And I promise you, the first time they'll probably look at you like you've got three eyeballs, because our natural tendency is to go, "Oh, here's what I do." But if you can practice this, they're going to come to you more often and use you as a sounding board because you're not trying to force something down their throat. You're there to listen and to help guide them. Okay, so those are the seven little words. The other thing that I would tell you is your kiddos, especially the ones that are not wanting to talk about college yet, they're probably scared. And I see a lot in families where that's all we want to talk about when they're in that junior and senior year, and they're just being bombarded all the time. So one of the other techniques that I have families do is designate one night or one time of the week that you're going to talk about college. The rest of the week, you're not talking about it at all. But if they want to come to you and ask you questions and start the conversation, you'll have those conversations all day long. I usually suggest like a Sunday dinner that you'll talk about college, see where they're at, see where you need to help, and then just let them roll.
My husband is constantly always talking about grades, and I am so over talking about grades because he is and I know the grades are important, and they can't get in without a certain GPA and SAT scores and things like that. But it's just like, like we were saying before the break, it's just not for everybody. And if you, I am an advocate here. If you are not making the grade um now, then then you're not going to be able to really make it in college because of the habits that you don't have. And I'm just all about saving that money and not making yourself have all this debt when it's not necessary, when it really wasn't for you. So I think if their grades aren't there, um then what are we talking about college for? Do you ever run into that?
I do. And the reality is they have to want it. They have to want it as bad as we do. And if they don't, then let's look at the other options. And I think it's I'm totally about facts and putting facts in front of our kids and just say, you know what, here are your grades and here are the schools that you can get in based on those grades. And it may not be any of them. If the grades are low enough, they can typically get into a community college. And that they're a little bit more lenient to say, hey, if you get in and you can make some of these grades, improve yourself, we'd be happy to work with you. But but they have to want it. And I agree with you, Tabitha. It's just not for everybody.
And a lot of the community colleges have like dual enrollments. So if you go to the community college for 2 years, you get all your gen eds done. They might have like I know like here in Charlotte, like CPCC is highly recommended, and they have an amazing program and structure set up for the children. And they have several colleges like UNC Charlotte and other schools that they have like partnerships with, that you can get into a 4-year institution after you've gotten that associate's, or have done well, or whatever the case may be. But I just think that if you know in your heart that you are not ready, or not ready to go off to a big university, then that's something to look at. But I interrupted, so I want you to finish your 7 words, and I want to be able to get in those high price ticket universities. Are they necessary? I want you to answer that question for sure after you finish with your 7 words. Sorry, I interrupted y'all.
You're good. 2 things. The community colleges, I'm a huge proponent. I have one client right now that's going to a community college because he wants to be an X-ray technician. And you can get an associate's degree and become an X-ray technician. So, and as you said, you can get your dual credits in high school. I love that because it gives you a little bit of cushion going into college, already having some credits walking in. So either you can get out early, or if you do have to change a major, or you do mess up a class here or there, you've got some cushion.
Right.
And, I think the community colleges are wonderful. They do a great job with our kids. If it's if they want to do that before transferring to a 4-year college, lots of upside to a community college. I forgot your other question. I got all excited.
I interrupted your 7 little words. So I said I wanted to come back and circle around and have you talk about those big ticket university names, and
That's it.
are they necessary? Because I just think education is education. So I just I the Dukes and the UNC and New York, whatever these schools are, why do our youth feel like they're necessary? Are especially the kids that have had like stellar grades, the Princeton and the Yales and the Harvard, like is that day past for them? I mean, after because I keep interrupting your 7 little words.
No, I got through that. Comment. So regarding these schools, I'm going to do a blanket statement first, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the Yales, the Harvards, the Princetons. So the Gallup and Purdue work together to really tackle that question, to really figure out what's important about when you're going to college. And what they found is that it truly doesn't matter which college you go to. It's what you do while you're at college that's really important. So and some of the things that they suggest is getting into the community, really participating, whether that be in going to sporting events or getting into recreational type activities. But it's about this sense of community that is going to make you a success at college. And by the way, it's also going to make you a success in life because you've participated in these types of activities and you understand what it is to be part of a community. They talk about talking to your professors, making sure that you're communicating with them and having conversations and doing long-term projects. And that's really in relation to what you want to do as far as a career. If you've done those long-term projects, you have a really good idea if that career path is going to be good for you. So it's really more about what you do in college that's important, not where you go to set you up for success.
Say that again for the people in the back, girl. Say that.
Yes, it does not matter where you go. It's, that what you do while you're in college. Now, you're going to have those select few, Tabitha, that it does matter.
Mm.
And, but here's the deal that high school students need to really truly understand. The fact that they're a 4.0 student, and these days you can be a 4.8953873 and
Right.
still be the 10th in your class, right? It's not that special. When you go to your Yales, your Harvards, those are the cream of the crop, the tippity top people that are going into those schools. And you don't want to put yourself in a situation, if you're not in that group, to be up against that. You know, you want to be in a college where you fit in and that you're in the middle, or you're even towards the top of, your grade as far as what you can do. Because it's not going to be fun if you're going in every day and competing against people that are well above what you're able to bring. Does that make sense? And I don't want to discourage anybody, but I want you to really feel comfortable that it's like, you got to go and find your home for the next 4 years and enjoy it and love it.
And that can go so many ways, because that brings a whole other set of problems when you start to feel like you have to compete, and that you have to please your parent. Well, I'm here to tell my children, or whatever, long as you are a happy, healthy, productive human being, and you have a career that you can stand on your own 2 feet, and you don't have to live at home forever, amen, I am good with it. Because a lot of these kids take these pressures on. Oh, they got to have straight A's, they have to have straight B's, and here comes anxiety and Xanax and teenage suicide, and all kind of things come into play. With these social pressures that we have on our kids for college. And one of the other things that I wanted to mention, I don't know if you see this a lot, but robotics and automotives and things, these cars that are electric and all this stuff is taking over a lot of the job market, and we're seeing things change as we go into 2022, 2023 and beyond. What does that look like for the future of education, and what does that look like for people that don't have the education? Like, I mean, I don't know if I asked that correctly, but there's a lot of careers that just don't require college anymore. Like, some of like the automotives and things of that nature. And because society is going so much in like a computerized type of direction, what do you tell those parents that they're
Well, there's a couple things I'll address on that. So I have an assessment that I give to my students that helps them understand the types of careers that would be beneficial for them. It's an aptitude-based test, so it's really about their skills, what they're interested in, et cetera. And I love this assessment because it actually shows you job growth in this assessment. So if a job is growing, that type of career is growing, you'll know that. And that doesn't necessarily mean a job that needs a college education. In my assessment that I give, it actually shows, what kind of training you need. And sometimes it is trade school, sometimes it is going to a community college. So there's ways to figure that out. And I would tell you that there are always going to be jobs for the people that, don't need and or want a college education. We're not seeing that go away. And I would tell you a third thing is, oh, dang, I lost it. I had something really important I wanted to, that, believe it or not, I thought with the pandemic that we would actually have less students applying for college. The reality is there's actually more that has gone up, that more kids are applying to colleges and more are applying to several more colleges on average. So they're applying to more colleges and more kids are applying. So
maybe
that has
they
not gone
found
down.
Maybe they found their natural talent over the pandemic and decided this is definitely what I want to do. Or maybe they saw through the pandemic, the way, businesses were going, all the things that were going on. Maybe they realized, just this blue collar is not for me. And, and I want more. So many things were birthed out of the pandemic. My show here was birthed out of the pandemic. It was, you know, I wanted to be a community liaison type of a person. So, after the pandemic, everybody threw their hat in the ring and was like, why not? So that's good stuff right there. Our theme this year at the station is I'm trying. What are you trying in 2022 to do?
My last really 3 to 4 months and into the rest of 2022 is all about getting this information to parents, because I will tell you, this role that I'm in is a little bit of a disruptor. Most parents know that they need to help their kid, figure out their SATs and ACTs and get their essay writing, get their college applications. So they know that they need to go out and get help for that. I want them to realize that college planning really starts with looking at this whole child and understanding what they want. And, I have a lot of dads usually come to me and say, Kristen, can these kids really figure out a career path at 17? And I'll tell you, it's amazing how many of these kids really do have an idea of something that they'd like to try. They're just not necessarily telling mom and dad for all the reasons we talked about earlier. So, it's educating parents that there's a better way, that what we've been doing for decades is not necessarily working. And I'll tell you one fact that to me proves this: 30% of students that go to college do not return after their freshman year. And what that tells me is we're not doing a good job helping them figure out why they're going. So that's my soapbox. That's what I'm trying to get across.
Kristen, I appreciate you so much for being on this evening. And this was so important. And I cannot wait till this is just out in space for everyone to connect with you. Can you please share with us, because we are at the end of our time, we are continuing to educate, empower, and encourage our viewers show after show. Can you share with them how they can connect with you? Since we only have 30 minutes here, how can they get this information in their hand on a continual basis, and how can they contact with you?
Yes, this is the first group that I'm going to be telling about my new website. Go to collegeplanninguntangled.com and you can find all of this information. Or guys, pick up the phone and call me. I am happy to answer any questions you have about college at 214-207-5887.
Thank you so much. I am Tabitha Collins. This was In the Spotlight. I am so appreciative to my guests this evening. You can reach me at 980-907-3136 or Tabitha, Tabatha, spotlight, all one word, at gmail.com. Thank you so much. I look forward to meeting you here again next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at In the Spotlight. Take care and God bless.